Okay, picture this. The world is literally at war. A whole nation is demanding its freedom, and its leader decides that the most powerful weapon isn't some huge, massive uprising, but a single voice of protest repeated thousands and thousands of times over. Today, we're digging into the absolute strategic genius of the Individual Satyagraha of 1940. This was a movement that was less of a loud roar and more of a persistent, powerful whisper. So this was the incredible puzzle that Mahatma Gandhi had to solve. India was in World War II, but not by choice, right? A massive protest seemed like the obvious answer, but it was too risky. It could have easily exploded into violence. So the question, the one you see right here, was fundamental. How in the world do you protest a global war? One person at a time. To really get why this strategy was so unique, we've got to rewind to 1940. Politically, India was at a complete standstill, a real deadlock. The Congress Party's demands for independence were going absolutely nowhere. And with the war raging, the British weren't exactly in a mood to negotiate. The old methods just weren't cutting it anymore. A new approach wasn't just a good idea, it was absolutely critical. And this timeline here, it shows you just how fast things went south. It all starts in 39, when India gets dragged into the war without anyone even asking them. I mean, you can imagine the resentment. Then, fast forward to August 1940. The British try to smooth things over with this thing called the August Offer, but it was a total non-starter. Sure, it offered a bit more representation, but not the independence Congress was demanding. So of course they reject it. And what's the British response? Well, they tighten their grip, passing new laws that basically crush civil liberties, especially the freedom to speak out against the war. And that's the dead end. That's what forces Gandhi to get creative and invent a whole new path forward. So with a huge, messy protest completely off the table, Gandhi just flips the script. And his solution is, well, it's elegant. He says, forget the crowd. Let's focus on the individual. This wasn't about trying to shut down the government. It was all about making a powerful moral statement, one person at a time, in a way that was impossible for the world to ignore, but really hard for the British to just crack down on. And this slide really gets to the heart of that strategic shift. I mean, think about it. Mass movements, they aim for disruption through sheer numbers, but that always carries the risk of violence. The individual satyagraha was the complete opposite. It was symbolic, it was focused, and it relied on hand-picked individuals to absolutely guarantee nonviolence. It was a protest of quality, not just quantity. So what was the actual mission here? What were they trying to do? It wasn't just a general we're unhappy protest. Nope. Gandhi had these laser-focused objectives, and they all revolved around one of the most fundamental human rights there is, the freedom of speech. Let's break these aims down, because they're pretty clever. First and foremost, this was a direct challenge to those new laws silencing dissent. A satyagrahi would literally stand up in public, give an anti-war speech, and basically invite arrest just to prove a point. Second, it was a powerful symbolic no to India being forced into the war. Third, and this is subtle, it was a message to the British. Don't mistake our restraint for weakness. This patience is a strategic choice. And finally, it was kind of an open invitation, a way to show defiance while still leaving the door open for peaceful negotiation. So, who were these individuals? This wasn't some open call for anyone and everyone to volunteer. Oh no. Gandhi personally selected each and every participant, each satyagrahi, based on their absolute, unwavering commitment to the principles of nonviolence. These people were the standard bearers of the movement's integrity. And the very first person Gandhi chose was deeply symbolic. It was Acharya Vinoba Bhave, a spiritual leader, not a politician. He started the protest on October 17, 1940. But the second choice, that sent shockwaves. It was Jawaharlal Nehru, a towering national figure. Picking him made it crystal clear this was not some fringe movement. After him came Brahma Dutt, a devoted follower from Gandhi's own ashram. You see, every single choice was a calculated message, setting the moral and political tone for everything that was about to follow. It started with one man, then two, then three. But this quiet idea, it did not stay quiet for long. It spread like wildfire. By 1941, just look at this number. Over 25,000 people had voluntarily stepped forward to offer satyagraha. Think about that. 25,000 individual acts of defiance, each person delivering their speech, and each person willingly going to jail. It was a controlled, peaceful flood of protest. So, the big question is, did it work? What was the real legacy of this very unique form of protest? Well, while it didn't lead to immediate independence, its long-term impact was absolutely profound. The true genius of it was this: it kept the flame of resistance burning in some of the darkest times. It was a way to maintain constant political pressure, to show this unwavering defiance, all without giving the British an excuse for a brutal crackdown during the war. It was really the perfect strategic move to bridge the gap and set the stage for that final push for freedom. And if there's one single idea you take away from this entire movement, it is captured perfectly in this quote. This was never about weakness. It was a powerful moral declaration that India's patience was strategic, that its commitment to peace was a sign of immense inner strength. Which brings us to our final, really fascinating question. In a world that was defined by bombs and battles, with all the political doors seemingly slammed shut, was this quiet, individual, and deeply moral protest the most powerful move India could have possibly made? It's a masterclass in a different kind of power. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound changes don't begin with a shout, but with a single principled voice.